School Board for Monday, June 26th, 2023. Welcome to all who are here. The first thing on our agenda is to stand and salute our flag. We have no helpers, so we'll do it ourselves.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Chair, if you could do roll call, please.
Vice President Longoria.
Here.
Director Chester.
Here.
Director Christie.
Here.
Director Dietrich.
Here.
Director Durnell.
Here.
Director Fleming.
Here.
Director Herman.
Here.
President Tiernan.
Here.
Director Thompson.
Here. All right, and we will begin with public comments on agenda items.
Thank you, President Tiernan, and good evening. Now is the time for public comment on agenda items. Persons wishing to make public comment are required to properly register prior to the designated start time of tonight's 7 p.m. meeting. When public commenters' names are called, please approach the podium and begin by stating your first name, last name, and municipality. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3-minute time clock will be projected on the screens located throughout the room. The board asks that all commentary be directed to the board as a whole. Public comments may be interrupted or terminated if the commentary exceeds 3 minutes or if it is obscene and or threatening in nature. All persons attending this meeting are expected to conduct themselves with decorum and civility. In addition to refraining from abusive and profane remarks, please also be respectful of all persons and public comments, including those comments and opinions that differ from your own. Distracting and disruptive behavior or other actions which interfere with the orderly conduct of this public meeting will not be tolerated. We will now call the first of just one speaker.
Zito Miller.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zeta Miller, and I'm a rising senior at Reston High School. I would like to take this time to address some things that I see and feel as a student of the Westchester Area School District for the past 11 years. Whether you all know it or not, racism is running rampant in our schools, and when it is brought to the attention of administration, teachers, and their counselors, students are unheard or flat out dismissed. I have personally dealt with being called the N-word by other white students, countless racially motivated jokes, as well as my culture and history being mocked, ridiculed, and or made to be a complete joke. And while I cannot and will not speak on behalf of other students and their own personal experiences, I can say that we've all dealt with similar issues. I've even had multiple of my white friends been told by other white students that they don't belong and should hang out with their own kind of people, and are constantly being questioned as to why they are hanging out with Black kids. The bottom line is these racist acts are not isolated incidents, so I would like to ask the board as to why it's constantly being ignored, minimized, or pushed aside when it's being brought to people's attention. I, for one, am tired of being ignored when I speak on a racially motivated issue, tired of being told that I'm the one that has to stick up to myself, that when it comes to other issues, I'm always told to inform adults. And yet when I do, nothing is being done. And I'm tired of being told that it's all about how I react to these racial situations. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, and I no longer want to bear that weight on my shoulders. I also want to mention how deeply rooted anti-Blackness is in our education. In my 11 years of schooling, I have only had 3 Black teachers, one of which is a student teacher, and the other being a long-term sub. I cannot remember the last time I learned about Black history other than the month of February. Even then, we are only taught about the watered-down version of slavery, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and if you're lucky, Frederick Douglass. The only opportunity to learn more culturally relevant information was an optional race and ethnicity class and an AP US history class that isn't even accessible to every student. I am tired of my history being minimized to slavery or the same 3 Black activists while spending 8+ months learning about nothing but the same issues surrounding white men and their counterparts. I'm tired of the racism in our schools and it constantly being ignored and swept under the rug. These are not isolated incidents or isolated issues. Black students do not feel heard, do not feel wanted, and don't feel like they have a safe space in our schools. Now that I've expressed my grievances and the grievances of many other Black students in the district, I would like to know as a school board, how will you start to support us? What policies will be put in place against hate speech? How will the district make sure that as a high school level, We will take more culturally relevant classes and ensure that they run regardless of class size. And how will you prioritize the recruitment of Black teachers and administrators? Thank you for your time.
State in response to your public comment, we appreciate that. I want to let you know that we'll follow up with you tomorrow for answers to your questions and also to get more additional context. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will approve the minutes from the May 24th, 2023 school board meeting. Any questions or concerns about those minutes? Ms. Chair Short, roll call? No? I'm sorry, I need a first. Dr. Dietrich, I need a second. Mr. Christie. Apologize. Now we warmed up. Okay.
Director Dietrich? Yes. Director Christie?
Yes.
Director Walmsley?
Yes.
Director Darnell?
Yes.
Vice President Belalacqua?
Yes.
Director Herman?
Yes.
Director Chester?
Yeah.
Director
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
President Tiernan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, now I'm seeking approval of the June 26th, 2023 school board meeting agenda. I need a first, Dr. Herman, and a second, Ms. Fleming. All right, questions or concerns about the agenda for this evening? Hearing none, could we call roll?
Director Herman?
Yes.
Director Fleming?
Yes.
Director Chester?
Yes.
Director Darnell?
Yes.
Director Walmsley?
Yes.
Vice President Belalacqua?
Yes.
Director Dietrich?
Yes.
Director Christie?
Yes.
President Tiernan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ms. Chirshore, would you add to those minutes that on June 12th, we met to discuss school safety, and this evening we met for personnel. All right. Dr. Reynolds, superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, President Tiernan. Good evening, and thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Before we move into the remaining parts of our agenda and our school board reports, I'd like to share some exciting news and moments of celebration, as well as important information and updates. First, we'd like to celebrate and thank all of our staff, students, and families for a wonderful end of the 22-23 school year. It was an eventful one. We sincerely enjoy getting to experience the excitement of our senior walk, promotion ceremonies, class parties, graduations, and the last day of school with all of you. Seeing our students wave from the buses and car lines as staff cheer them off for their next adventure is always a bittersweet, special moment. I was actually at Exton and giving the final wave with Dr. Alston and her years at Exton. We hope everyone has had a great summer. We're looking forward to welcoming you back in the new school year. August will be here before we know it. And speaking of summer, the district is once again offering learning opportunities at both the elementary and secondary levels. At the elementary level, we have our Summer Academy, which provides small group instruction in literacy and math. We also have book club opportunities for students, and we have our Jump Start program for our students that are part of our English language development program. At the secondary level, we are offering remediation courses for students, as well as original credit and preview learning courses. And the preview learning website was shared with our families earlier today. That focuses on introducing students to key concepts that they'll be learning for the upcoming school year. These resources and additional information can be found on our district website. This past week, we experienced an exceptional Safe School Summit hosted by our school staff, administrators, local police departments, township, and additional partners. And this event was coordinated by our very own Supervisor of Public Safety, Rick Thornton. Our Public Safety Supervisor, Rick Thornton, and his team, as well as Mr. Wayne Burster, brought together a knowledge, engaging group of experts in the field of safety and security. These experts shared important information on topics such as emergency and crisis management, sexual exploitation, threat identification, and so much more. And we want to thank Rick, our team, as well as all of those in attendance for their continued commitment to providing a safe and secure learning environment to all of our students. We'd also like to make sure that all of our families are aware that the district has partnered once again with the Westchester Area Food Cupboard to provide free food and non-perishable items to families and children during the summer. The Children's Summer Food Program is open every Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. And we want to thank our food cupboard friends for their support and helping us to support our families. We have a number of celebrations to announce. One, I'd like to congratulate our occupational therapist, Mary Adolph, for the honor of receiving the Provider of the Year Award from our Pediatric Therapeutic Services, otherwise known as PTS, a Kelly Education company. Mary was nominated by our district colleagues due to her deep commitment to helping students reach their full potential and her exceptional ability to connect with students and their families. We want to congratulate Mary and thank her for all that she does. We also want to say congratulations to our East High School student body for their recent completion of their outdoor classroom. In addition to the current setup, which if you haven't seen it, it already looks amazing, the team plans to add artwork, garden boxes, and some final touches to the space. We want to say job well done to staff, students, and families and community members for making this possible, especially through our tech ed, Tim Moore, and the students who built the tables and the benches. East is looking forward to holding an opening ceremony for the classroom in September, so stay tuned for a later date. We also want to highlight that we'll be having our community leaders gathering for our equity space. That's something that will be hosted tomorrow night. I believe that our director, Darnell, will be talking about that, but we're excited to hear voices from our community as far as how are we doing in our equity work and what we can continue to do moving forward. Also have 2 points of comment. One around our clock tower schools. Recently, you may have seen in the news, we've gotten some traction around the clock tower schools, formerly the Glen Mills School. We encourage you to review recent articles that have been shared in the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Daily Local, as well as the Delco Times. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to read some of the information that has been outlined. 2 of our biggest concerns regarding clock tower stem from comparability of educational programming as well as staffing. So we wanted to comment on that. As well as we'd like to note that for our very own tech director, Mr. Michael Wagner, this is his final board meeting with us, and we want to acknowledge Mr. Wagner for his many years of service and dedication to the Westchester Area School District. We know that we are going to be in good hands, but we do know that Michael is simply irreplaceable. So we want to thank him for his contribution, and we want to wish him well in his retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Now, Dr. Ulmer, hit us with your personnel recommendations. We have exciting news tonight.
Yes, we do. Well, good evening, Mrs. Tiernan, Mr. Rivalacqua, and members of our board. Our personnel report for the month of June 2023 is as follows. With removals from payroll, we have 10 resignations, 5 teachers, 1 long-term substitute teacher, 1 school counselor, 1 staff nurse, 1 grounds mechanic, and 1 assistant principal. We also have 3 retirement notifications. First, Ms. Jean Mary Graff, special education paraprofessional at Henderson High School with 20 years of service. Secondly, Mr. Dion Kelly, head custodian at Stetson Middle School with 25 years of service. Third, Dr. Richard Mitchell, assistant principal at Fugate Middle School with 16 years of service. I wish to thank all of our retirees for their service to the district, and I wish them all the happiness in the future. We have 1 termination of a custodian up for approval this evening. With additions to payroll, we are recommending the hiring of 15 teachers, 1 intervention specialist, and 1 athletic trainer. Additionally, I am looking for the approval of 8 long-term substitute teachers. In administrative staff, we are recommending the hiring of Mr. Kyle Forsythe Jr., an assistant principal at Stetson Middle School. Kyle is coming from an assistant principal position at High Point Academy in Colorado. Kyle, could you please stand and introduce yourself to the audience by giving a wave? We are thrilled to have Kyle with us, and I know that Stetson will be very thrilled too. We also are recommending the hiring of Mr. John McGowan IV as Director of Technology at Spelman Education Center. We welcome both Kyle and John to our management team, and we're thrilled to have the opportunity to join the Westchester Area School District team. We are also recommending the hire of 95 temporary summer staff for our summer programs in the district. In personnel events, I'm recommending the status changes to 2 staff nurses, 1 data services coordinator, and 1 temporary principal secretary. We are also recommending the status change of Mrs. Annie Korb from gifted resource teacher at Fernhill Elementary School to instructional technology coordinator at Spelman Education Center. We're thrilled to have Ms. Korb in this new capacity as instructional technology coach, and we wish her luck in her new role. Also, we are pleased to introduce another status change, Dr. Stephen Werner, current Assistant Director of Pupil Services, to Assistant Principal at Fugate Middle School. Steve, could you please stand and be recognized? Congratulations. Thank you. I also delivered and notified 8 teachers of involuntary transfers for the 2023-24 school year, as well as 1 non-bargaining staff. I delivered and notified 5 teachers of voluntary transfers for the 2023-24 school year. In addition to that, 1 custodian. We have 1 teacher up for approval for sabbatical and 1 teacher up for approval for an unpaid leave of absence for the 23-24 school year. In additional information, we're seeking the approval of 8 updated start dates, 1 transfer clarification, a stipend adjustment, a recommendation to continue with Fox Rothschild's LLP to provide labor and employment counsel, the approved salaries and merit performance bonuses for our supervisory, technical, and confidential employees. In supplemental contracts, we have 1 addition for the spring season for 22-23, 13 additions for fall contracts in 23-24, 7 removals from the fall season of 23-24, 3 adjustments for annual contracts in 22-23, and 1 spring contract adjustment for 22-23. I'm respectfully requesting board approval for all the personnel matters listed above. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Ulmer. Now, I am seeking approval for the personnel recommendations from the board. First, Dr. Herman, second, Mrs. Chester, and any questions or comments on the personnel recommendations or changes? We all say welcome to the people who are here or moving to new positions. Looking forward to what happens in the fall when school opens with you in place. Okay, with no other comments or questions, let's take the roll.
Director Herman,
Yes.
Director Chester,
Yes.
Director Wamsley,
Yes.
Vice President Bevelacqua,
Yes.
Director Christie,
Yes.
Director Fleming,
Yes.
Director Dietrich,
Yes.
Director Durnell,
Yes.
President Tierney.
Yes.
Motion
Thank you. Now I am seeking approval for the consent agenda. I'm not going to approach for anyone to take anything off the consent agenda. So I'd like a first. There we are, Dr. Dietrich, and a second, Mr. Bevelacqua. Questions or concerns about consent items? Seeing none, we'll take roll.
Director Dietrich,
Yes.
Vice President Bevelacqua,
Yes.
Director Christie,
Yes.
Director Fleming,
Yes.
Director Durnell,
Yes.
Director Herman,
Yes.
Director Wamsley,
Yes.
Director Chester,
Yes.
President Tierney.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along to school board reports from the committees that have already met this month. Director Durnell, if you would like to talk about Education Committee, please.
Sure. Thank you, President Tierney. The Education Committee meeting met on June 12th, and we approved a minor change to the calendar. We saw that there was an error in the calendar, so we fixed the calendar for the final approval. We also had presentations from the principals from Fugate, Pierce, and Greystone. Fugate for TSI improvement, for Pierce, TSI, and ATSI recommendations, and also for Greystone TSI. The our reports were elaborate, plans are extensive, but we're really proud to see that we're moving in the right direction towards those groups identified as needing additional support and progress. The next education meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 14th. There are no committee meetings in July, so we'll be meeting on August 14th at 7 o'clock. That ends my report.
Would you like to say what TSI is? Just, you have that written down?
I don't, but I'll try. When the scores come in from PSSA testing and Keystone testing, the state looks at our scores and they look at the subgroups in each school. And according to the testing results, there are identified groups in each of these 3 schools where improvement is needed. And so to address those improvement needs, extensive, hundreds of pages of plans are being put into place to help those schools meet those standards, and not only just for those subgroups identified, but for all the students in the schools. So the highest levels of recommendations is the ATSI, and I don't remember what ATSI stands for.
Go ahead,
Anybody?
anybody
I can
around
help
here
you.
can take that.
That stands for Additional Target Supports and Interventions, and that goes over a 3-year period, where TSI is an annual piece, based on the next performance measures that we have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it results in some really positive growth for our schools.
Yeah, because they go down, they actually are looking at students and then groups of students and classrooms, but eventually the benefits of the things being put into place will be good for all of the students in the school.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Tiernan.
All right, Pupil Services, Director Chester.
Thank you, Mrs. Tiernan. The Pupil Services Committee did not meet in June. We will not be meeting in July. Our next meeting will be August 14th at 6:30 p.m. Thus, we have no report for this evening. Thank you.
Very brief, good. Dr. Herman, anything for personnel?
Yes, thank you, President Tiernan. Good evening. The Personnel Committee met on Monday, June 12th, 2023. The committee reviewed the following new job descriptions and positions: K-5 STEM teacher and secondary instructional coach. The committee also reviewed a contract agreement with the CCIU for superintendent search services. These items were approved by the board earlier tonight as consent agenda items. That is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Vice President Bevilacqua, Property and Finance.
Thank you. Good evening. The Property and Finance Committee met last Tuesday, June 20th. The first item on the agenda, Mr. Scully advised the committee that the district's contract with Gallagher Benefit Services is due to expire at the end of this month, June 30th. Gallagher Benefit Services provides the district with healthcare consulting, COBRA administration, healthcare provider RFPs, employee advocacy, and contract negotiation services. Gallagher has been performing these services for our district since 2011. The committee recommended approval of a 4-year contract with Gallagher Benefit Services Incorporated. Mr. Scully then informed the committee that the Healthy Hunger Free Act of 2010 requires that schools move towards charging paid lunches at a price that's on the average equal to the difference between the free lunch reimbursement and the paid lunch reimbursement. The school district completed the 23-24 paid lunch equity tool to determine if lunch prices increased. The 23-24 breakfast and lunch prices for elementary and middle schools will increase by 10 cents, and the high school prices will increase by $0.25. The committee recommended approval of the 23-24 school meal prices as stated. Mr. Scully then continued a school lunch discussion by informing the committee that the food service department has experienced some supply shortages as well as increased costs for food items and shipping. As a result of these increases costs we just stated, some a la carte item pricing needs to be adjusted in accordance with our school board policy 808. The price increases for these menu items requires board approval. The committee recommended approval of the 23-24 school meal prices and the a la carte pricing as stated. The last item on the agenda, Mr. Burster, our Director of Facilities, advised the committee the Facilities and Operation Department is seeking approval to enter in a mutual beneficial binding agreement with Westtown Township regarding the use and access to the parking area directly adjacent to the high school. This is next to the Rustin Walk development. The committee recommended approval of the agreement with the Westtown Township. There is no board committee meeting in the month of July, as my colleagues had stated too, and the next Property and Finance meeting will be on August 21st. That concludes my report this evening.
Thank you very much. Director Fleming, Policy Review Committee.
Thank you, President Tiernan. The Policy Review Committee met on Tuesday, June 20th. The committee completed reviewing policies and guidelines with the administration related to the Student Discipline Records Book and Administrative Guideline 218 AG1 Student Conduct Disciplinary Action Schedule. The committee then reviewed changes to administrative guidelines relating to transportation. The board approved these revised policies earlier tonight as consent agenda items. The next Policy Review Committee meeting will be held on Monday, August 21st. And that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you. We have some other reports. Director Durnell, you were at the intermediate unit this month for their last meeting.
Yes, I was. Thank you. Chester County Intermediate Unit met last Wednesday in the Downtown campus. Dr. Fury, the executive director, and his administrative team shared end-of-year goal updates. The team shared information about the growth and vitality of the IU. The CCIU is expanding by adding 2 additional campuses to meet student needs for programs and services. In addition, the IU celebrated graduations on all 3 of their current campuses: Brandywine in downtown, Pickering in Phoenixville, and Pennox in West Grove. The Child and Career Development Center and the Learning Center were excited to hold proms this year. Students and their guests attended with volunteers helping to chaperone and facilitate wonderful evenings. Also, the Child and Career Development Center brought field days back, and it was a hit again this year. Students were able to experience events and activities customized to their abilities, from adaptive golf, archery, and bowling to train rides, wacky baseball, and water slides. The next CCIU board meeting will be held on Wednesday, August 16th, 2023 at the Technical College High School on Brood Road in downtown. That ends my report.
Thank you. Director Fleming, Legislative Liaison.
Thank you, President Tiernan. I do not have much to report yet on the legislative update. Now that budget hearings have wrapped up, there is quite a bit of legislation being introduced in both the State House and the Senate. Some of this legislation may be positioned to be included in the omnibus education bill. The total budget, including the education part of the budget for the state, should be passed by the end of this month. So I believe that next month I will have more to report as far as any new legislation that is negotiated and part of the budget. So, and the next CCIU Legislative Council meeting is this Wednesday at the, you know that, what is that, the campus off of Quarry?
Brandywine campus.
At the Brandywine campus at 7, at the Brandywine campus. Thank you, that concludes my report.
Are they open meetings as well, public meetings, the legislative
I
committee?
actually have not been to a live meeting yet. The ones that I've attended have all been via Zoom so far. So I do not know if they are public or not, but I can find that out.
Okay. I think they are. I think they are. They just aren't usually attended by anybody but people from the IU.
Exactly.
Okay. Back to you, Darrell. Are you going to do an equity report this evening?
Yes, I am, President Tiernan. Thank
Go
you.
for it.
June is Pride Month, and this month has offered us many opportunities to come together to affirm and celebrate diversity, acceptance, and equality within our community. My husband and I enjoyed participating in Chester County Pride held in Phoenixville, Cape May Equality March in New Jersey, and Westchester Pride's Tea Dance held this past Sunday at the History Center. Pride Month also holds significant meaning as we recognize the struggles and achievements of the LGBTQAI+ community throughout history. It is time to reflect upon the progress we have made and the work that still lies ahead. By acknowledging, embracing, and celebrating our differences, we foster an environment of inclusivity that promotes understanding, empathy, and respect. We would like to congratulate all of our recent graduates from the class of 2023. They've had such an exciting road ahead. They have such an exciting road ahead of them, and we are truly proud of all that they have achieved. I would also like to thank and celebrate each of the high school's Black student unions for a wonderful Kinte graduation ceremony at Ruston High School before the graduations. It was held right after our last monthly board meeting. The ceremony included a shared meal, speeches from board directors Joyce Chester, who paid great homage to Bayard Rustin, advisors and students, and a tribute to Dr. Corey Bell, and incredible student acknowledgments and performances. Finally, we would like to remind our community that you are invited to join Dr. Una Martin and the district tomorrow, June 27th, 2023 at 6:30 here at the Spelman Center for a meeting that will provide a year in review presentation, allow for attendees to share their thoughts, and encourage discussion of action plans that will help us continue to meet our equity goals for the 2023-24 school year. That ends my report.
Thank you very much. In other business, on the consent agenda was an approval of the school board treasurer's report and statement of disbursements and approval of the May 31st financial report. Now, reports being finished, we have comments from residents on non-agenda items.
Thank you again, President Tiernan. We have 6 registered public commenters on non-agenda items. I'll remind the public to please approach the podium when your name is called and begin by stating your first name, last name, and municipality. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please direct all commentary to the board as a whole. Public comments may be interrupted or terminated if it exceeds 3 minutes or if they are obscene and or threatening in nature. We will now call the first speaker.
Stephanie Deezer.
Hi, Stephanie Beiser, West Goshen Township. I'm here to give a status update on since last month's board meeting. Dr. Reynolds and Dr. Newton-Woods met with roughly 20 members of the Puget community. During this meeting, it was established that trust was broken among the leadership and the families from Puget. Leadership, through lack of communication, increased safety concerns, would have to work to gain the trust of the community back. Following this meeting, teachers then had a meeting as well with those 2 individuals. And then this past Wednesday, parents met with several members of administration as well as Dr. Fears, Yaber, and Brown from Puget Middle School. We listened to a PowerPoint presentation that shared initiatives for next school year. Some of the initiatives were old and some of them were newer concepts, like the eye care program and the intervention specialist. A QR code was provided, however, the presentation and QR code and questions and answers have yet to be distributed to the families from Puget Middle School. There was a great deal of attention given to the accountability for students, teachers, and even parents. We were told that these initiatives were developed through survey feedback. When we were asked what the survey feedback was or when we could have the survey feedback, that was unclear. There was no mention of leadership and what they would be accountable for or held to. Some of the programs are a great starting point to create a positive community within Puget Middle School to ideally reduce bullying. I'm hopeful that these measures will help, but again, it comes down to the execution of these initiatives. However, I am really concerned that leadership is not willing to acknowledge what bullying is. Instead, they keep calling it mean or unkind behavior. Then this is just further victimizing the victim, their emotional and mental well-being. Who actually gets to decide if a bully is being bullied or being unkind? In my opinion, this is where we have been for the last 2 years. Some students have been held accountable for their behavior. However, the amount of personal stories that I have received and the amount of lack of response from the school is sickening. Stories of children being threatened, brought to the attention of leadership, and being completely and utterly ignored on multiple occasions. They are not my stories to share. I appreciate the willingness of families to confide in me, but I am truly devastated that these children have to show up to school every day where they're continuing to be victimized, unheard, unprotected, and unsupported by the leadership at Fugate Middle School. Major areas of concern that still were not addressed are leadership. How is leadership going to be different next year? How are they going to be held accountable for their behavior, their actions? Execution to their support programs is key. But if there's not transparency and what is being done and said to be done and actually being done is not clear and aligned, then there is no trust. It remains to be broken. And unless these concerns are addressed, leadership, communication, and safety, then we do not feel safe sending our children back to school at the start of the school year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Holly Allen, and I live in East Goshen Township. I am a parent of a 7th grader at Fugate Middle School. 2 of my boys have gone through Fugate and East, graduating in years of 2015 and 2021. I have been parenting for a while. When my oldest was bullied, they got into a fist fight in middle school. They were both suspended, and even though my son was protecting himself from a bully for 4 years. Fast forward, now the same children are getting into fights regularly. They are in school a day or 2 after the event, allowed to stay in school when they are obviously not following the rules. Neither of my older boys saw this kind of lack of discipline within the school. Somewhere along the way, you have let the children take control instead of the adults. We are supposedly a top-rated school district in the area, but our kids are afraid to go to the bathroom. My son has multiple bullies that pick on him at any given time or place. School and on the bus. The only person who has come to my son's aid is his bus driver. Dr. Fierce did not follow up with me after our phone call about pulling the bus tapes. In my personal opinion, and many other Fugate parents, unfortunately I would like to see more here, feel our school's administration have created an environment for violence through the absence of discipline and student accountability. This needs to end. Our children deserve more and better from the adults that have them in their care for 7 hours a day. Thank you.
Lynn Strauss.
Lynn Strauss, West Goshen. The Glen Mills School was the oldest reform school in the country before it was closed in 2019. When the details of the decades of sexual and physical child abuse committed by staff and students was revealed, Governor Wolf said revoking the license at Glen Mills was the only acceptable action in response to the horrific and inexcusable mistreatment of children at the school. At the same time, Governor Wolf said the school should never be reopened. Now, because of the severe shortage of placement options for adjudicated minors, the state wants to reopen the facility. How bad was the abuse and how poor was the education? Chester County Intermediate Unit reached an agreement to pay $3 million to hundreds of former students for not providing adequate education and for the physical and emotional abuse at the Glen Mills School. Early this year, we learned the Glen Mills School is reopening with the new name Clock Tower Schools. Since Clock Tower Schools is not able to be certified as a school, and the Glen Mills School is inside the Westchester Area School District, our district is legally obligated to provide education. Clock Tower School, not a licensed school, wants to reopen on July 1st of this year. So yes, the Westchester Area School District found out in March that in 4 months they would be responsible for providing all the educational needs at this court-mandated residential facility. The Clock Tower Schools, not a school, can't tell the Westchester School District how they
how many students they are accepting, and what their special education and ESL needs will be. Clock Tower Schools, again, not a school, is offering Westchester Area School District a total of 2 classrooms and 1 office. Those 3 rooms are supposed to be enough to educate all the students with severe needs and with ages ranging from 14 to 18 or even 21 for special education students. What is the difference between Clock Tower Schools and the Glen Mill School? They have the same director and 7 holdover staff. These are the very same staff and director that somehow did not know about decades of physical and sexual abuse or see the lack of any meaningful education. Additionally, the 2 entities have the same phone number, same address, and same attorney. I am here as the leader of Chester County Marching Forward Social Justice Committee. I am stating on the public record that I do not think Clock Tower Schools, not a school, can be guaranteed to be a safe place. I would like to see the Westchester Area School District get more time to prepare to meet these students' needs. Or maybe Clock Tower School could use this time to get certified and become a school. Or if it's not going to bother to do that, it could just change its name to Clock Tower, because it is not a school.
Julietta Calmar, East Goshen. I'm also here to talk about Clock Tower. I've been following the Glen Mill School and all that ensued after for a long time, and with interest. Even before I heard the Westchester Area School District all of a sudden got pulled in this. This looks like a shotgun wedding. I don't know, I don't understand how the Department of Education can mandate that Westchester deliver service next week. I have 2 concerns. That we are getting involved with this entity of ill repute, like Lynn Strauss already spoke, all the problems. And will this cost the district money? Will this cost the taxpayer money? Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Melissa Bennett.
Melissa Bennett, West Goshen Township. I just want to acknowledge that I'm a Fugate middle school parent and appreciate the conversations happening at Fugate. I don't find myself with quite the same concerns, but I've really been grateful for the attention given to the parents as they raised concerns. I've appreciated Dr. Reynolds being clear that there's work to do. I'm thankful when families and students and parents speak up. I know that there's been 2 meetings offered and there's a plan, and so I want to acknowledge that and appreciate it. I also want to ask if we could create a similar plan of meetings with LGBTQ plus families, as well as Black and brown families in the district. You all know, I've been attending meetings for about 2 years here regularly, consistently. We regularly hear concerns from LGBTQ students and Black and brown students about their experience in school. And we know that there's more happening than what we hear at these board meetings. And so I'm wondering, can we work together to hear what those concerns are collectively so that we can start making a plan to address them? I don't know if Ms. Miller, is it Ms. Miller? The Reston student, I appreciate your feedback tonight, and I agree that these are not isolated incidents, but we seem to treat them as such. And so I'm asking you, the board, the administration, to reconsider your approach. Let's not be hesitant to meet with these families collectively, to really listen to their experiences, to notice that these are not isolated incidents, and to think as a whole as to how we address sexism, homophobia, racism in the district. I think it would be eye-opening for all of us to listen well and to acknowledge the experience And I think it would pave the way for a better experience for all of our students. Thank you.
That concludes public comment this evening.
Thank you for Zeta and Stephanie, Holly, Lynn, and Julietta, as well as Melissa. A number of you have been able to speak to or communicate with. If you presented a question, either myself or a member of our administrative team will follow up. If you have feedback that you shared and you want to provide more additional context, either myself or a member of our team will follow up to be able to hear your ideas and your context. So we appreciate your time and your comment. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank everyone for coming, listening, and expressing your concerns and your hopes for the Westchester School District. We are going to adjourn this evening, and Director Chester is going to read something that is meaningful to her.
Thank you. In honor of Pride Month and all the efforts that we are working for diversity, in support of the young lady that was courageous enough to come up and speak, Ms. Miller, and the parents that certainly bullying, district has no tolerance for bullying. But I'd like to share in closing this quote from Maya Angelou, where I go when I need to find comfort. And she says, "I'm convinced of this. Good done anywhere is good done everywhere. For a change, start by speaking to people rather than walking by them like they're stones that don't matter. As long as you're breathing, it's never too late to do some good. But nothing will work unless you do. Perhaps travel cannot prevent bigotry, but by demonstrating that all peoples cry, laugh, eat, worry, and die, it can introduce the idea that if we try and understand each other, we may even become friends. Hate, it has caused a lot of problems in the world, but has not solved one yet. Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. So I close with, may you travel, meet someone new, learn about someone new. It's the perfect time, it's summertime. And then come back renewed and refreshed to this district so that we can keep plowing ahead to do the good thing and the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to, yes, Dr. Dietrich, to adjourn? Yes, to adjourn. And a second? Director Jordell. And is everybody in favor? Yes. Aye. Okay. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Meeting adjourned.